identified as mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade, and stayed in that category until I got out of high school.
It's the mentality of an eagle. I often ask myself, what differentiates those who wish for better outcomes?
How far you are willing to travel and how far you are willing to go. Sometimes people tend to get a little lazy. Sometimes people like to put themselves in this little bitty box and just say that they are okay with where they are. There could never just be an okay at anything when it comes to that life. There should never just be a complacent mindset. How do we evolve? How do you evolve? How do you grow? One thing about success, there are going to be many struggles. There are going to be many challenges, and there are going to be a lot of things that you may not even understand. But you got to go back to where it started. Remember when you had more.
Like 6 months later, had been around my other friends so much, he started using the same phrase. And the second guy loved his wife. And I could see the relationship change. And I finally said, listen, it's not my place, but this is what I do for a living. And let me tell you what's happening. You're not even seeing it. So be careful the limiting identity you attach to someone. Because once you do that, your brain, you get in your head. You heard the gentleman earlier. I always teach, you get in your head, you're dead. You got to stay in your heart. Because the mind wants to make black and white, good or bad. It wants to generalize, distort, and delete to keep things simple. But life is a little more complex than these oversimplifications, and then you miss out on things that really matter. Is this making sense to you so far? So let's think of something you're not doing that you want to do, and you're not doing it. Why? I virtually guarantee you one of the reasons why is it's not part of your identity. In fact, it's outside of it. If you want to change your life, my friends, you got to change your physiology and you got to change your focus.
And I come into my junior year and I'm about to get exactly what I want. About to get this thing called NFL. And I'm 10 games away from this dream that I wanted my whole life, right? This thing that I've been working for my whole life. My whole life is dedicated to this one game. I'm up Saturday mornings, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 miles to a fire station, 2 miles back home. I'm in the park, 9:30, 10 at night, doing everything in my life surrounded the game of football. I'm sitting at home at night, I'm throwing balls up to the ceiling, and I'm catching them different type of ways, trying to see if a receiver was to check me, if I wanted to catch an interception. Like everything revolved around this game, and I finally get in a position in my life to where now I'm 10 games away from it.
My very first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I want to get my head right. I do this thing called priming. Today, what creates marketing is when you don't just market, but you add value to people. The early stages of myself as an entrepreneur, I started all these companies from scratch. And then I met a gentleman, the gentleman started MTV, and we had this really cool conversation. He said, Tony, it took me, a decade and a half to really build up MTV. And he said, and then I built another company, and he said, Tony, I realized it takes like 7 years, that was his number in his head, on average, to go from scratch to build something that's really stable and strong and so forth. And he goes, I realized there's only so many 7-year cycles in my body. And he said, but if I went to a company that already has been around for 7, 10, 20 years, and I bring my ability, my vision, my ability to grow that business, my ability to inspire the people, my ability to produce resourcefulness, then I get a multiplied effect. And he goes, Tony, you're the best in the world at what you do.
I got the paperwork that states I'm about to be an NFL draft pick. NFL on top of the paper. Inky Johnson projected top 30 automatic multi-millionaire. Now all you have to do, the hard part's over. Just play the next 10 football games, Ink. You made it. And I go out in a silly game against Air Force, 2 minutes left, and I go to make a tackle that I can make with my eyes closed. And I hit this guy, and as soon as I hit him, I knew it was a problem, but I didn't think it would be this type of problem. Like, how when things happen, you're like, I didn't expect that, but I don't think it's gonna be anything too crazy. And when I hit him, every breath in my body left, my body goes completely limp, I fall to the ground, I blacked out, my eyes open, I'm still not, too concerned, because it's football. I told Pastor, I never thought about a career-ending injury. You have injuries within the game. When my eyes open, guys run over, Ink, let's rock, man, let's go, let's finish him off. And I'm like, I can't. They're like, what do you mean you can't? You're a starting corner, get up. You can nurse your injury after the game, man.
You cannot satisfy your hunger with negative energy. Being negative doesn't help you to grow. Being doubtful doesn't give you the power that you need. You have to come to a point in your life that you must realize that there are things that are going on that is testing you. And maybe you may be in a position where you feel that you are broken, or you feeling that you're going to be broken, but I'm here to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that you are built to last. I'm here to let you know that you don't have the right to complain anymore. I'm here to let you know that you've got to keep on living and living on strong.
I don't have any college training, but I met a high school teacher who one day changed my life. I was waiting on another student, and when he came in, he said to me, "Young man, go to the board and write what I'm about to tell you." And I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, "Why not?" I said, "I'm not one of your students." He said, "It doesn't matter. Follow my directions now." I said, "I can't do that, sir." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I'm educable mentally retarded." And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, "Don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality." And as he talked, my heart began to beat fast. Tears began to run by my eyes, and I was in the back just listening to him, because the speech he was giving, that speech was for me.
And those who do something about it. What separates the dreaming from the progress, and the wishing from the reality? Sure, life is complex. There are a lot of moving parts to understand. But I think this element is simple. Those who build things in life are willing to not only see a reality that hasn't yet materialized, but they also understand that in a world of no, they have to be the yes. They have to believe in their ability to drive towards finish lines that no one else sees.
I dare you to take a trip to your local hospital. And if you have an opportunity to walk down those corridors and witness so many different people, different age groups, different ethnicities, and each one of these individuals are fighting something. They're dealing with some type of sickness. And some of these sicknesses they may not be able to recover from. I dare you to walk down a neighborhood where there are many people that are homeless and have no place to go, no food to eat, barely even have clothes on their backs. I dare you to realize that maybe you just don't have it so bad. After all, maybe it's time for you to realize and recognize that your troubles are not that bad. Maybe it's time that you realize that you need to get away from the drama that's in your life.
And he said, "Les Brown," he said, "if you want to do anything worthwhile in life, you've got to be hungry." I told Mr. Washington I wanted to become a disc jockey. And so I started working to develop myself. He said, "I want you to practice every day being a disc jockey." I said, "But I don't have any job now." He said, "It doesn't matter." He said that it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. And as I was working to develop myself, I applied for a job as a disc jockey, WMB on Miami Beach. Went to a guy named Milton Butterball. I said, "How you doing, Mr. Butterball? I'd like to get a job as a disc jockey." He looked at me, he said, "You have any broadcast background?" I said, "No, sir, I don't." "You have any journalism background?" I said, "No, sir, I don't." He said, "We don't have any jobs available." I said, "Yes, sir." I went back to Mr. Washington and I told him. He said, "Don't take it personally." He said, "Most people are so negative, they will have to say no 7 times before they say yes."
I dare you to take a trip to your local hospital. And if you have an opportunity to walk down those corridors and witness so many different people, different age groups, different ethnicities, and each one of these individuals are fighting something. They're dealing with some type of sickness. And some of these sicknesses they may not be able to recover from. I dare you to walk down a neighborhood where there are many people that are homeless and have no place to go, no food to eat, barely even have clothes on their backs. I dare you to realize that maybe you just don't have it so bad. After all, maybe it's time for you to realize and recognize that your troubles are not that bad. Maybe it's time that you realize that you need to get away from the drama that's in your life.
And see, meaning cannot come to fruition without that discomfort. Or as Nietzsche put it, one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star, and that's just it. Most people see what is, most people conform, they do not create. To change something means you have to be the metaphorical eagle amongst pigeons, flying above all that, everyone, everything else. Superseding the limiting beliefs that shackle others to their one-dimensional realities. But most importantly, it means you can see. You can see what no one else can. You have line of sight to what no one else understands. See, in this world, No one walks up to you on the street